with Spandrel's orders. Hildred and the guards were searching the master's hiding place. One of them found an empty hypodermic under the master's chair. He passed it over to Hildred, whose wrist communicator bleeped as he took it. Spandrel's face appeared in the tiny screen. Hildred, a little job for you. Don't worry, it's well within your capability. The master's bloodless lips seemed to have frozen in the trace of a smile. Well, welcome to Michael Legg's Book at Bedtime.
Oh, that was lovely.
Yeah, I thought it would be nice for you just to have a little bit of Doctor Who to perk you up.
Yeah, and that was the Cuddly Assassin.
Yeah,
which is a much softer book. It's a darker sequel. Sequels are always much darker. Have we started? Because I don't know yet.
Yeah.
Well, no one now. Yeah, because I can't see me or anyone else, so I'm just winging them.
Oh no, we've done that especially. What we've done is so for an added enjoyment and as a bonus, everyone who's watching tonight can't see you or hear you. We thought that would be fun. Yeah.
And the thing is, because I don't know what's going on, I have to really wing it, and that's absolutely fine because I've just got into jazz. So this is very much the world that I live in now. Would you
love jazz?
Would you like to see my jazz collection?
Yes, both.
Here it is. It came today in the post.
Oh.
My jazz collection. I bought a jazz album. I bought more. I don't know if you can see it because I don't know really. There you go. There you go. A little bit of Duke Ellington, John Coltrane. It's brilliant, that album.
Oh, we talked about Duke Ellington this morning on the show because we had David McCormick on, who did an incredible thing about Hercules mixed up also with the music of Duke Ellington. Oh, by the way, Trent's just said, please give us some money in the tip jar. We've had very little money in the tip jar. And all of the performers are very sad and cold, and they would like some snacks, and also so are the Arts Centre. So there's a tip jar here. The money will go to any performers that we know need it, and any art centres that we can find that also need it. So that's it. Hope you enjoy the show. Hope you enjoy all the shows we do. There's a tip jar thing that we really, it's just getting sad. Now, look at Michael's face. Michael's hardly had a beer for a long time. I've got a really is this on? I hope you can see this clearly on Jazz. Right? Can you see the cover of that book?
Oh yeah. That
is a good cover, isn't it? That is Charlie Mingus's autobiography. Because also, I'm only a little bit younger than you. I'm I think I'm 43 and you're 58, right?
Yeah,
sure. So I'm also getting into jazz, but very much getting into the words of jazz, the words of Charlie Mingus.
Oh yeah. The music you're not really into, but Howard, the amount of drugs they took, the people that died on the way. Yeah. I
love the jazz narrative. I wish I could show you. Got a great poster of Miles Davis having a cigarette while holding the trumpet. So much better than listening to A Kind of Blue. Just looking at Miles Davis having a cigarette, holding a trumpet.
But that is why you like the books about jazz rather than jazz, because jazz is very smoky man, but you are a dusty man.
Very dusty.
So second-hand book about jazz. How much of that do you think you're going to read? About less than a third?
Finished it, mate. Finished it.
There's no way you finished a book.
No, I didn't. It arrived today, and from my mate Jeff. It's wonderful, and it is. It's got great stuff. That's too much heater, Chaz. Too bulky. You give yourself away. Leave that dumb Luger there, and take a. I think this is a Sven Hassel book that's been put in the wrong cover. It's got a Luger in it already. Anyway, it's going to be Charlie Mingus, and that is such a good cover. So I love jazz too. I'm
a big jazz fan.
What's your favourite? If you could just take one jazz to an island, what jazz would you take? If you just take one jazz.
I mean, if I could sneak a jazz into my suitcase, and of course we were allowed to go on holiday, I think I'd probably choose out of my collection. I'd probably choose Duke Ellington and John Coltrane's album. It's really, really wonderful. That's probably it's probably my prize album in my entire jazz collection.
Can I just check, in the inner sleeve, are there any pictures of them maybe holding a trumpet and having a cigarette?
They're not smoking at the moment, but I think they're having a cigarette break, which in jazz terms means they're just not smoking for about 2 seconds.
That's fantastic. That I've got to admit, I don't want to overhear the album, but I'd like to own it. I would love to own it, but don't want to hear it.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame. I mean, it's not a shame. I don't want you to hear it. It's very good.
Actually,
we'd end up having a conversation about it.
Oh, do you know what? I look forward to the fact when we get little beanie hats and we spend more time in jazz clubs. And then I look forward to that point where we decide we don't like modern jazz, and we decide that we actually would rather go and see elderly white men from Suffolk in boaters doing Jelly Roll Morton songs. I think that will be the pinnacle of our rise to detritus.
Have you heard this?
2020 you better pull yourself together while there's still time left. Not a day without a murder.
Yes, I have just then.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering.
What's that?
That's Jim Bob's new single.
Oh, I've not heard that. That is a very different song for Jim Bob.
It's great, isn't it? It's really good. It's called 2020 WTF, and I think it's 26 seconds long.
Oh, that is. It's still. Yeah. I love the. Was it Snuff? Snuff. Was it Snuff? The band that used to do like mid to late 80s.
Sounds like it should be.
They did, and they would do one of their EPs. I think is just them doing punkish versions of different TV advertising jingles, but quicker. It's just Snuff Said. I think was one of their EPs. I'm sure some of the people watching. No one's watching, but I'm sure some of the people watching perhaps have memories of Snuff. I was just right. I'm going to. I don't normally like being negative, Michael. You very much in the same way.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love being negative. It's my Christmas.
It is. And what a long Christmas it's been now for the last 58 years now. But I was just digging through my records and I found this, the 12-inch of R.E.M's Radio Song.
Right.
I suddenly remember, and I don't like, because I like R.E.M. a great deal, but you know when you go, that's not a good single, is it? Radio Song.
It's bad.
It is, isn't it?
Song. It's bad, yeah.
Because I'd forgotten. I don't listen to Out of Time that much. I listen to a lot of the earlier stuff and quite a lot of the later stuff as well. But Out of Time, I listen to a lot, and I had forgotten. This is not. It's not good, is it?
It's not good. But I'm glad that you had a bit of a look around and a bit of a clear out, because I also had a bit of a look around and a bit of a clear out. And I'll be honest with you, finding the 12-inch of Radio Song by R.E.M. would have been beautiful. Instead, I found one of my old Morrissey T-shirts.
Oh,
and it's a hooky one. It's a hooky one, you know, that was for sale for a $5 outside the venue. Like
it looks enormous as well. Is that your?
It's extra large. It's extra large because it was the 90s. Extra large. You know, you wore extra large. Anyway, I don't know how that has survived. You know, not being burnt, but I'll burn it later.
But I do. I'm so glad that now I know that most of the time you wander around in that as your nightie with the little flip got your little blue aeroplanes flip-flops that you bought when you went to see the Blue Aeroplanes. I dug out this, and I do think covers where it takes you 20 years to get the joke.
Right. And what is the joke there?
Well, I've always presumed, right, that Life's Rich Pageant, which is I think one of R.E.M's best albums. It is a great album. But as far as I know, the joke is Buffalo Bill, isn't it? Because that's Bill Berry.
Right.
And that's a buffalo.
Oh, okay.
And what I like about it, because it's shit. This pun and everything is utterly pointless.
Yeah.
And yet, in a meeting in the 80s, I presume I might be wrong about this, but I think that's what happened. Oh, you can see also I bought it from the Record and Tape Exchange back in the 80s because their stickers were always a little bit too strong, so it's pulled off a little bit of the cover there. But it's such a great album. But I presume that pun cover, Buffalo Bill. So there we are. Did you never know that was Buffalo Bill?
No, I hadn't. I hadn't noticed that before. But it's not like R.E.M. to joke.
Well, they do. They're a little bit more like that now. Fun, jokey.
Yeah, now that they split up and they don't exist. Yeah. They're a lot more. I mean, God, Michael Stipe is hilarious now. Sitting in a cupboard, singing his face off. He's having a lovely time.
Oh, he's so lovely doing that.
He's loving what's happening to us at the moment. Loving it. He's got, we're together, apart, together, apart. You know, he's living my dream, which is one, being completely alone, and two, being Michael Stipe.
What is on your wall, by the way? What is that? A Queen is Dead record back there in a frame? What's the one?
No, this one.
Yeah,
no, it's the first record my granddad bought.
Oh wow! For you, or the first one he ever bought?
No, it's the first one he ever bought.
And what is it?
It's some Hungarian classical piece. I don't really even know what it is.
It's called The Very Best of Czechoslovakia by the Hungarian Kazoo Orchestra. He was a huge fan. In the old days, a lot of national bands would do the best of other countries, and it's just that them playing on their trumpet while having a smoke. Different conversations you might have had when you arrived at the railway station.
It's basically a bunch of wedding present covers.
So should we have our first musical guest?
Sure. Well, I hope they're jazz.
Well, I reckon it's going to be pretty jazzy. When did you? Because jazz, I imagine you've been quite resistant to jazz.
Yeah, I definitely am very resistant to jazz, but I've been broken down. And I'm very much swimming in jazz. Well, I hate what I've just said, but I've said it, and we have to.
Really did. You have drowned yourself in jazz, you idiot. By the way, I should mention that tomorrow we actually have a jazz special at 10 a.m. We're doing it's Shambles College, and we've got tomorrow's our English literature module with A.L. Kennedy, and as well as having
Professor Jazz.
Yeah. A.L. Kennedy, known as Professor Jazz by no one. But we also have an award-winning trombonist live from New Orleans, which I presume is going to be about 2 a.m. there. We have Haruka Kikuchi, and she's going to join us and give us a lesson in jazz trombone. She really is an award-winning trombonist and everything. That is one of my favourite things that I've... Michael, I don't know, you love jazz. You must have been in New Orleans.
Really love jazz, mate.
You've been in New Orleans, yeah?
Yes, I have been in New Orleans. Trent and I have had a discussion about it. I went to see Kermit Ruffins play there. I also saw... I really wish I could see Trent, because he'll know this band. There's something Earth Band. I can't remember what they're called. But
Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
Yeah, Manfred Mann's Earth Band.
Earth, Wind and Fire Band.
Black Sabbath, before they were called Black Sabbath, Earth, right? I saw them in New Orleans, and honestly, this band, there was an 8-piece band. They were terrifying, playing really angry jazz, and they walked forward towards the audience as the show went on, while the audience kept walking backwards, because they were quite a scary band.
Oh,
I loved it.
Brilliant. So that was
brilliant.
So that was angry jazz. So is that what got you into jazz? The anger?
No. If anything, that I went. Do you know what? I get enough of that at home. So, but now I'm into smooth jazz. I'm into jazz drumming, mate. Love jazz drumming.
If you could just have one jazz drummer on your desert island, so desert island jazz drummer, right? Your luxury jazz drummer. This is the jazz drummer as your luxury. Which jazz drummer are you taking as your luxury?
Well, I think I'd probably, if I could choose any drummer from my collection, I think I'd probably choose the drummer who drummed on Duke Ellington and John Coltrane's album, who is, of course, Nicko McBrain.
Do you know what? That album must be great, because I'm hearing a lot about that album at the moment.
Yeah.
So it's pretty hip. Right, well, we've got our first musical guest, and he is... We've had him on before. We've had him on the morning show, and he's brilliant, and he's done various things, including the 9 lesson shows that we have, which hopefully will be going on in December this year, and we'll see him there, if not before. And you had it, in fact, Will. You had it coming up. You were going to be. Did you actually get to do your gig in St Pancras?
I did. That was Christmas time. So yeah, luckily that happened. But plenty of gigs that aren't happening.
Yeah, it's that bit where you just go, why can't they just send an email cancelling this festival? Because it's not going to happen. This festival. Not going to happen. But I love those ones that still have that ray of optimism, and it's nice to still have some purpose, because my diary now is just a collection of blank pages with intermittent images by Edward Hopper. That's all it is. And there's like 2 things. Beautiful Days Festival, maybe. Anyway, have you done the Beautiful Days Festival?
I've never done it, actually. No, I've seen it though. It looks pretty wicked.
It is so joyous. Last year, the Stranglers were fantastic. I think I told you this story, Michael. The Stranglers doing an hour-long set. They were on before Ziggy Marley, and about 10 minutes before the end of the set, they stopped and they were a little chat, and they went, sorry, so we just stopped because we've realised we're playing so fast that we can actually fit another song in. We can fit 2 more songs in. So they squeezed the set to make sure they packed through everything. And it absolutely pissed down during Always the Sun. And JJ was just there playing in that kind of way, which had half a look of, hey, guys, I'm really glad you stayed. And another, which was like, idiots. So it had that lovely double dynamic going on. But it is such a lovely festival, and I think the levelers and everyone who runs it, it's just it's an absolute. It's one of those festivals, Michael. I know you wouldn't like this because you're not always keen on festivals. My favourite thing is when you go to a festival and you go, I'm going straight away afterwards, and then you have two drinks. You have just enough to drink to go, I'm having a good time. And then once I'm an hour away, I get a call from you going, how far away are you? I've remembered I haven't got a tent.
It happened once. It happened once, and I regretted it, and it will never happen again. I bring it up every fucking time. It happened once.
I disagree that it happened once. I think it's happened at least as many times as you have halfway through a night of drinking just disappeared on the bus.
It happened once, Robin. It happened once.
They all the time, Michael. All the one time.
This is how you are with your bloody professors, antagonising them because of some mistakes. Scientists have made more mistakes than me, mate. That's how they make mistakes.
Yeah,
get rid of that one.
You leaving me alone in the Betsy Trotwood is my atom bomb, mate. It's my atom bomb. Anyway, we are gonna.
What are you complaining about? I split. That's a science reference. I split.
That was good.
Oh yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Let's go straight over to Will. We should have gone quicker to Will. That was a terrible mistake. We should have. This would never have happened. Anyway, he is wonderful. Will goes under the performing name of Gecko, and he's going to play a song for us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to his ballooned. Are they balloons up there?
Yeah. There's some balloons. I put them up just for you.
Oh, they're lovely because they're, again, much like Michael, they're all kind of, I imagine they're a bit wrinkled and deflated.
Yeah, that's how you like them.
Enough air left to maybe get to Christmas. Yeah. Anyway, over to you, Gecko.
Thank you. Man with a guitar strolls onto stage / sofa. Man with a guitar, it looks like he's going to play the elephant in the room as the man joins the show. The elephant in the room. Will he play any songs that I know? I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. Too many. I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the Picture the scene, you're around the house of an author. Let's just say you're really good friends with their daughter. You wouldn't spoil what had been a nice eve by asking them to recite War and Peace. Can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. Back at school and you're just sniggering all through a lesson in sexual health. The teacher says if you insist on talking, you can teach the whole class yourself. You just roll your eyes and to everyone's surprise say, yeah, I'll give it a go. But it goes quite badly, unbelievably rapidly, like a PGC is exposed. So let the teachers run the syllabus. Let me do my set list. I can't know all the songs. I can't know all the songs. Not a jukebox, I'm a man. There's a heart, not a selection of songs under my surface. We could have something really great to treat me like a human, not a streaming service. Spotify, not a guy. Apple Music won't keep Shania Twain warm on a long, cold, lonely night. I can't know all the songs. Do you know that song? Can't know all the songs. This song. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. Bad news, sadly, you've been injured really badly. Prognosis isn't the best. You wouldn't ask the doctor, look, I know you know a lot, but do you do surgical requests? You just let them do what they've trained for years to do. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. A little while ago, I was playing a show. Something happened I didn't expect. Halfway through one I planned to do, someone shouted, sing a song about sex. Now in some places, people ask for Oasis, I respond with poison patter. But this was the first time I'd had someone request general subject matter. I can't know your imagined song. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. Just a bit because I've got a guitar. Doesn't mean I know a specific song that you might want to hear right now. You can go to an Indian restaurant and ask for an omelette. Actually, you might usually point at someone there. 20 years from now, this song actually became a worldwide hit. Something really resonated with the sort of people who buy music from supermarkets. I was sat around a campfire, had an acoustic guitar, I was strumming along. Someone said, sorry to be that guy, but could you play Can't Know all the songs? It was conflicting. Can't know all the songs. 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 I can't do it. Can't know all the songs. Can't know all the songs. Too many songs. I can't know all the songs.
Thank you very much, Will. Okay, Gecko, your stuff is available on Bandcamp and other places. Where is the best place for people to go?
You could go to geckoofficial.com, and I'm also running a Kickstarter for my new album at the moment, so check that out as well. There'll be a link from there.
Thank you very much, and it will be an album worth existing. Cheers, Will. See you soon.
Absolute pleasure. Nice one. Cheers.
Yeah, Michael, I was just going to show you the other week. I don't know if you remember.
Can't know all the songs, Robin. Can't know all the songs.
I would imagine he could have done a cover of any of the Fuzzbox colour picture discs that I've got. But the only reason I think I showed you this picture disc, Fuzzbox picture disc the other day. What I hadn't noticed was, I don't know if you know, Stuart Lee with, I forget the name of his friend, has made a movie all about the Nightingales, the Birmingham band, the Nightingales. It's a really good documentary. It's going to be out soon. But I hadn't noticed that this particular Fuzzbox picture disc was produced by Robert Lloyd, the lead singer of the Nightingales. Amazing. Everything connects. Don't forget the tip jar. Michael needs your money. This is he's not been probably, it's not, he needs it. Michael needs your money.
And I don't know what I need it for, but I feel like I should have it.
Do you know what? Next time we're back, if you have a second jazz album, I know that we've done good work. We've done very good work. Also,
now, Robin.
Yeah.
Oh no! You go, and then I'll.
No, you tell me a thing. I was just going to show you that this is my Babes in Toyland coloured vinyl because I needed that. Anyway, go on.
Now, this week, got some very sad news about the excellent Matthew Seligman of the Soft Boys. I am deeply saddened to hear that he passed away. I'm a huge.
He played with many people as well. We should add. I mean, of
course.
Soft Boys, closest to that band, but he also an incredible musician, incredible ability.
To be fair, actually, the Soft Boys are probably not his most famous, triumph. It is to me. To me, it's the most important thing that he did. But yeah, he played with Bowie at Live Aid. He also played on Absolute Beginners by Bowie. He played with the early Thompson Twins. He played on Thomas Dolby's Flat Earth album. He played on a lot of great works, but come on, Underwater Moonlight. There's not a bad note. Everybody, it's just such an exciting, vibrant, and full of joy album. It's literally just, and Alaska Studios, which is in Waterloo, which is where this was recorded. It looks like a doorway to hell. It looks so dark and dank and horrible. And yet every time I walk past that smelly doorway, my heart sings because I know what came out of that stinking door. Greatest things that you will ever hear in your life. So, if you've never heard Underwater Moonlight, or if you've never heard the Soft Boys, give them a go.
Yeah, it's very sad. And there's some lovely things that some of the musicians and people who'd worked with him said, and a tremendous amount of sadness as well.
And actually, the Local Heroes stuff that he did with Kevin Armstrong, that's great. I think that might be, I'm going to say the wrong thing here, but I think that might be the first record he made. It's great. It's really good. And the Soft Boys made a follow-up to Underwater Moonlight. Now, they split right after they made Underwater Moonlight, after they made a classic album. In fact, because it was during sort of the ups and downs of the Cold War. That's how I like to describe that time. It was just like a horrible time, 1980. 1980 was horrible. But Matthew Seligman, right after they finished recording Underwater Moonlight, said to Robin Hitchcock, well, I know we're all going to die pretty soon, but at least we've made a classic album. And he was right. And but they made a follow-up. What year was this? 2004, 2003, something like that, called Next Door Land. And it's fantastic. It does not in any way sound like, oh, do you remember that album we made? Let's sort of try and remake that. It actually sounds like they probably made 12 albums in between Underwater Moonlight and Next Door Land, and this just happens to be the 14th album they've made. It's fantastic. Anyway, you should hear them.
That's it. I mean, there are a lot of bands from that period where again, it's as you said. Like I was thinking Wire when you said that. Wire, you just go, oh yeah. It's not as if you go, you're trying to just staying on top of everything, creating things that are just fantastic. I was just going to mentioning Bowie. I was just going to recommend, if anyone hasn't read this book yet, Strange Stars is a fantastic book, and it is all about the science fiction influence on late 60s through to the 70s pop music. Bowie is a great part of that in terms of a lot of influences I didn't know in terms of some of the science fiction he read, which also fits in with Jim Bob, of course, his new book as well. But it's a really delightful read, and it will tell you also about the because I have a book. I haven't got it with me. I don't know what I put it. It's probably in one of the piles, but it's the books that about the Hawk Lords that came out. That apparently, I'm not sure that Michael Moorcock really actually wrote any of them, but they are. I think I've shown it to you. It's a fantasy science fiction romp starring basically Hawkwind, which I just think is brilliant. So Lemmy is in it. Lemmy is in the first one, but they've all got slightly different names and they have a science fiction adventure. And that is a genre which is sadly lacking, I think, now. Do you know what we should do as a band? Oh, yeah. We should probably be in a science fiction romp. Yeah, we haven't got the money for a film, but we've got the money for a laptop. And the other thing, by the way, I also found that Prolapse. You know when you forget what great? Do you remember Prolapse? What a great
listen!
band.
I remember Prolapse all too well. Oh, I didn't know.
Oh, brilliant! That is. Oh, and that is true as well. That's what's lovely about that. Is I do remember what that was. Do you know what? That has happened so many times. I would say. That prolapse happened many times now as you leaving the pub without, just, oh man.
I prolapse once.
But I read a bit of Starlust a while ago, which is Secret Fantasies of Fans.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
From about I think it was 1982 this came out. Really wonderful and 1985 actually, later than I thought. Wonderful and strange book of fantasies. But this is one that I've forgotten about. And just before we started this is Lillian's fantasy, and it is called Spanking Boy George. I always imagine pop stars in physical pain. At the moment, it's Boy George. I think there's a very good choice because you can get all the stuff you need in the paper, whereas before with Blondie, it was difficult to get much to feed it with. I didn't really buy many albums or anything until I was about 14, and then I got this Blondie album, and I started getting interested in Jimmy Destry, and I started having all these fantasies about him. Then it went on to Chris Stein, and I have had fantasies about him. The fantasies about Chris Stein mostly incorporated Debbie Harry because she was so involved with him. There was one fantasy where they both had this terrible disease, and it was a really mysterious disease, and they went to this expert on black magic who said they had to get rid of this disease and they had to make love, but they were both very weak and in a lot of pain, and the only way they could get rid of it was having sexual intercourse. So they'd have sexual intercourse even though it was really painful, and I actually pictured that to some extent. That's a very involved it reminds me of, I remember years ago there used to be that different kind of, some fantasies are, and I wonder also the difference between male and female fantasies, because there used to be those books, was it Nancy Friday, Secret Garden and stuff, and you would have these incredible, esoteric, lengthy narratives. I mean, the one that I remember reading out, doing book club in Edinburgh I used to occasionally do a show called The Dirty Book Club at the Edinburgh Fringe. And I had Nancy Friday's book, The Secret Garden, or My Secret Garden. The Secret Garden is totally different. If you're going to go, I want to get, during isolation, I want a really sexy book. The Secret Garden, you might be a little bit disappointed. But My Secret Garden. And I said to people, you can choose as an audience the fantasy that you want to hear. So I gave them the subject matter of each chapter, and I think they chose zoo And I said, just choose a name. And they picked someone like Debbie. And Debbie's fantasy involved being kidnapped by some owners of a collection of donkeys. And I remember reading it out, and even I was going, oh my God, and I was keeping it in. And the audience eventually was like 2 a.m. They'd been drinking a lot, and they didn't know. And they went, oh, can you stop now? I went, no, you chose it. And it was one of those, like, 10 horrible minutes. Oh, when the bucket came out at the end of that story, it was horrible. Anyway, so there we are.
Well, I mean, that was disturbing.
It was.
To think I've been told that I'm not allowed to say my swear word on this. I think what you just put in people's heads is far worse.
Yeah, well, you're allowed psychological torture, but not your filthy potty mouth, Michael.
No.
I mean, to be fair, you only used that word one time. Oh no, hang on, that one definitely a lot more.
I've just been using it for a long one time. That's all. Shall we have our next guest?
Yeah. So what? Can I just find out? Apart from jazz, love jazz. Oh, that's our next guest.
Yeah.
Are you literally just going to make a mask and pretend to be our next guest?
Yeah, thought to save a few quid. Then that means I can get all that money.
Okay, right.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, Simon.
Hello.
Hello, Simon.
It's Simon Love, everyone. See, Robin, you probably recognise me, don't you, from Not If I See You First, the Simon Love music video. That's probably where you know me from. And probably recognise my voice from the album Sincerely S Love, because I'm on this, because I'm a pop star now. This is also my record collection.
Yeah, well, you probably recognise me from being held captive in the toilet of the Duke of Uke filming a promo for one of the Loves albums. It was the Duke.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. I tried to find that the other day, and I couldn't find it online. I typed in every word I could think of associated with that.
Duke of Uke, Robin Ince, toilet. I really wasn't expecting this many. Wow, 12,500 results. It's ridiculous.
I think that sounds perfect.
Tesco bag.
I love the Duke of Uke. It's such a. Is it? I think it's still there, but it was like Darren Hay.
Moved around the corner now.
But Darren Hay.
Ambury Street now is somewhere just further off Brick Lane.
Oh yeah, well, all of that kind of whole area where there were some wonderful venues as well that all kind of got shoved away. But yeah, Darren Hayman would, a bit like Jerry Sadowitz working in a magic shop. People would kind of go in and then suddenly go, "That's Darren Hayman selling me a ukulele."
Yeah.
And we should say that yesterday, it was yesterday, but we're going to extend it for another day. Today as well is by a Darren Hayman album. I bought 12 Astronauts yesterday, which I've
it is great, isn't it? 12 Astronauts.
Yeah,
right.
I've got nearly all of Darren's stuff, and I had not realised that I'd never got around to it, which seems such a typical one. 12 Astronauts, which he sang the song Alan Bean, which was originally on Hefner's Dead Media. One of my favourite gigs that I did just before Brian Cox got really famous. We did a church in Shoreditch, and he showed a little bit of the. I think he showed a bit of. The latest documentary he did, which included the Carpenters singing "Calling Occupants of Interplanetary Craft," with this wonderful stained glass window behind. So there was this kind of religious stained glass window, but in front of it as well, all these wonderful cosmological images. And then Darren went on and sang his song about Alan Bean in this fantastic church in Shoreditch, and it was absolutely beautiful. And his album, series of 3 albums, Thankful Villages, is a fascinating project, as well as being a collection of very beautiful songs.
Well, Robin, you know, I used to bringing up the name of a recording artist on Vitriola, only for you to completely change the subject and talk about another recording artist. But could we not do it while they're with us? Just this once. Can we do it?
No.
Can we just stick to the person that we were talking about just while they're here?
Look, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is don't get Simon to sing a song. I've got Darren's number. I can probably just sing it down the phone. It will save us a lot of time. It's your fault for bringing up your showing off, and I wanted to say, oh, that's all great, but I've actually been the Patty Hearst of Simon Love's career, locked away in a toilet.
That's fair enough. So, Simon, how are you finding going mad?
I'm working. I don't do this for a living. I don't play guitar and things for a living, unbelievably. So I've been having to work my normal job. But the first week, I'm sitting on this chair
Right.
This wooden chair.
Nice.
And a week of sitting on that typing almost crippled me, and I walking bent double for a weekend, so I'm having to work standing up, like I'm in McDonald's or something.
Oh, like you're working for Heart FM.
Yeah.
Yeah,
oh yeah, I imagine I'm Russell Brand and I do lunges and
yeah.
Oh, hang on a minute. I think I've got a picture of one of Darren Hayman's chairs. Can you just hold on?
Well, Simon, thank you very much for being here with us. Would you grace us with one of your beautiful songs, please?
Yes, I will.
And will you make it a sweary one, please?
It says no swear words in it, so one swear word over and over again, but not the one I've been told can't say.
No, can't say it.
No, so.
Well, thank you very much.
It's always called The New Adam and Eve. I'm gonna kill somebody today and make it look like suicide. I'm gonna put a bomb on a bus and link it to how fast it drives. 'Cause with you, I'm alright. It's just everybody else who can fuck off and die, leaving just you and me. New Adam and Eve. I'm gonna dig a hole in the road and fill it with a lot of fun. I'm gonna push your ex down the stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs there'll be a lot of knives. 'Cause with you, I'm alright. It's just everybody else who can fuck off and die, leaving just you and me. The new Adam and Eve. I'm gonna punch a man in the face with a fist made out of jellyfish. I'm gonna watch him puff up and cry, then deny him any of my pills. 'Cause with you, I'm alright. Just everybody else who can fuck off and die, leaving just you and I. And then everybody else can go fuck off and die, leaving just you and I. And then everybody else can go fuck off and die, leaving just you and me. Thank you.
Oh, lovely. Thank you, Simon.
And that's a cover of an old Richard Clayderman song, is that right?
Yeah.
I've forgotten about it. I haven't heard for ages. That's such a jaunty threat. I love it. There's not enough jaunty threats in pop music. Simon, where's the best place for people to go and get your stuff? And
it'll be simonlove.bandcamp.com for some odds and sods, but then Tapeta is the label that released the last album. They're a German label. That one, yeah. I don't know where I am in terms of this thing. I'm probably all good. Although, if you want to buy the first album off me, I've got fucking loads of them in the cupboard in my house. So,
so we should just
Simon
around your house.
Love Rules at gmail.com. I will make me an offer and I'll send you something. Interesting trades considered.
And if you're lucky, then also Michael will throw in one of his Daphne and Celeste albums as well.
Oh, yeah. How many have you got?
I've got 78 left.
Oh,
yeah. Well, thank you, Simon. Bloody Simon Love in real life.
There we are.
Oh, this is our what I like to consider our Daphne and Celeste t-shirt. This is the one t-shirt.
It was a terrible thing. It was literally 2 days before you were getting custody of it when they brought in isolation. I can see why you're wearing your Morrissey 90 nowadays. Thank you so much, Michael. What are you going to listen to for the foreseeable future? Have you got any plans of albums you fancy listening to?
Right, here's what I've decided. I wanted to pick 2 gloriously happy albums. Because even though Underwater Moonlight by the Soft Boys to me is a shining beacon of joy, there are some songs where, there's a lot of begrudgement on there. So, Tim 10 Yen Everything Beautiful Reminds Me of You. Do you remember this album, Tim 10 Yen?
No.
Maybe, oh God, it's every song. It's just bombastically joyous, and it's proper bedroom pop. It's fantastic. I'm surprised if you don't know this, Robin, I'm
gonna listen to this tonight.
Tim 10 Yen, love Tim 10 Yen, and here's an album you definitely know, Robin. Malcolm Middleton and David Shrigley, Music and Words. It is so gloriously sweary. It makes Simon Love seem like a nun.
There is nothing funnier than "That's my dad's sword. Put it back. That's my dad's sword." Totally out of context. That I think is the second song on the album, isn't it? And it is. It really is. It's pop. It's art. It's bloody everything. That was one of my favourite.
Great tunes. It's never ever going to be one of those albums you think, oh, that'll wear off. It never wears off. It's still funny and it's still brilliant.
Yeah, no, I love that. I was going to the album that I'm really looking forward to is Everyone That I Know, and I don't know if you've heard it yet. The recent Fiona Apple album. All I'm hearing is
fantastic.
I just keep hearing abusive things from people that I trust. Yeah. So I think that is going to be the album that I've spent. I've generally, for some reason, while you've been getting into jazz, I've mainly been listening to Arvo Pärt, the Estonian classical musician, listening to his incredibly beautiful, sad work. And also, I mentioned David McCollum at the beginning. If you on Medium.com, he has written a really interesting article all about kind of ideas of requiems and stuff like that. So I've been, and then I've been listening to the Stranglers, Golden Brown, over and over again. You know, when you get in, and it's not a nostalgia loop because I really do love that song, and a lot of Joy Division as well. I've gone back to about that period of my life for this point of isolation.
And as you know, I mean, I've just been mainly listening to not just jazz. Kraftwerk. I've been listening to all of Kraftwerk's back catalogue. So wonderful.
Oh, I know we've mentioned this before, but I think it is. I think you can definitely you can get it very easily on a few streaming sites. Have you seen Radio On yet?
No, what's that?
Radio On is, I'm sure I banged on about it a lot of time. It is the most brilliant film. I think it was 1979, 1980. It has a lot of Kraftwerk in it. It's a road movie.
Yes, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's kind of Get Carter, but without any action or anything like that. It opens with this incredible tracking shot around someone's flat, while you've got that version of Bowie's Heroes, which goes into German halfway through. Then there is loads of Kraftwerk in it. There is a brilliant Whole Wide World, that fantastic song. Oh man, who's Whole Wide? Stiff Records, Whole Wide World. I'm sorry,
REO Speedwagon.
Not REO Speedwagon. You say that every single time.
I said it once.
But it's a really amazing, and because of the kind of with Kraftwerk, the use of that in it as well. It's one of those really beautiful, a film that I'd also mentioned that has a fantastic soundtrack and is very, very beautiful. And that Reckless Eric, thank you very much, Trent. Reckless Eric, Whole Wide World, has an amazing scene. It's one of those films where very little happens, but it's very mesmeric. And I was going to mention two other films, music-based films. One is, if you've not seen From the Sea to the Land Beyond, or is it From the Land to the Sea Beyond? Either way. Well, if you go in one direction, it's the wrong way, but the other way is great. But it is a fantastic film, which is lots of pieces of archive footage of the seaside, basically going back to the turn of the 20th century, and it has a absolutely wondrous soundtrack by British Sea Power. And then the other day I watched a film called Arcadia, I don't know if you've seen it yet, which is all about our kind of relationship with rural England, and the soundtrack is partly by Adrian Utley from Portishead. And again, like the British Sea Power movie and From the Sea to the Land Beyond, the Land to the Sea Beyond, it is really, really messy. You just start watching and you go, oh, it's just, and then you go, oh, it's finished, it's over. Beautiful, an incredible soundtrack, an incredible mixture of images.
All right then, we've got loads to do. Let's hope we're isolated for months and months and months.
And Trent recommends the 19-hour Ken Burns jazz documentary series.
Oh yeah, does it mention my collection?
It's literally only, it's totally about, do you remember that one they did about John Peel's box of singles?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Ken Burns' thing is literally when you were getting changed into your 90, you know how it normally takes you 19 hours to get into your 90?
Yeah.
Well, he came round and looked at your box of the one John Coltrane and Duke Ellington album.
Yeah.
For 19 hours. It's an amazing documentary.
That actually sounds like a really good movie. And actually, it sounds like something you would like.
And it literally at about just when it's about to be 19 hours, Ken Burns, he turns the camera and goes, I can hear his Blue Aeroplanes flip-flops and just scarpers.
Yeah, because why have two subjects in there?
Yeah.
When you can have one.
Exactly, beautiful. Michael Legg.
Thanks, Robin.
And can I thank you also for that lovely book that you sent me about craft work, which is really, I've only about 50 pages in, but it's a delight.
Well, there's part in it about Radio 1.
Well, it's a really great film. If you're looking for a film,
well, I've got to give it a go.
Bye-bye. Oh, tip jar for Michael. Well, it's not probably for Michael. It's for a lot of other people as well. And for the
will buy this wonderful morning.
Oh,
Who will buy this wonderful tin?
I would love to see you play. When I saw Jess Conrad playing Joseph, in the Technicolor Dreamcoat.
I saw that too.
I think he was about 78, so I see no reason why you can't play Oliver.
Do you know the worst thing is you bringing up Joseph, played by Jess Conrad? I can't tell my story about Freddie Starr being at the back of the room shouting, because apparently I'm not allowed to say that word.
We will not have any Freddie Starr language here. No. Freddie Starr language. No.
That language was buried with him.
Now, if you would like to imagine Michael saying these words, he will be saying them now over and over and over again in his 90 until about 2 a.m. Just imagine. Bye-bye.